Hello and welcome. This is Ann Prepper. Today we're going to talk about household herbs. These are herbs that you can buy at your local hardware or feed store. Herbs are wonderful, but the problem is herbs work best when you're ingesting a well-balanced meal. Certain vitamins and minerals help the medicinal properties in the herbs absorb into your body. So this is vitally important that if you're going to start a herbal regimen, you need to first figure out how to balance your meal. Get your proper amounts of fruits and vegetables. Now, the number one thing I see that's wrong with most people, aches, pains, weak muscles, stomach, indigestion, I don't have any energy problems, lack of fruits and vegetables. That's right, fruits and vegetables. Today, in this fast lifestyle that we live, most people eat out through a drive-through window, 3 meals a day. If you've ever looked, this is McDonald's in a typical lunch menu with a medium Coke, fry, sandwich, and no apple pie. Look at the amount of fat in this. Look at the amount of salt into this meal. But do you see any vitamins and minerals? No. And in a long period of time of just eating this fast food, your body starts to show signs. It ages faster. Your metabolism slows down. So now you're just getting bigger and bigger. So folks, my suggestion to you is if you're looking to herbs to help fix your problems, first, balance your meal. Second, seek your physician's advice before starting any exercise, diets, or adding herbs to your lifestyle. But before we get started, here's my disclaimer. I am not your doctor, and I am not providing medical advice to you. This video is for educational information only, and is not a replacement for professional help or medical advice. My background includes a degree in psychology and 15 years in the medical marketing field. I get to work with doctors with all types of background and specialties, from neurologists, radiologists, family practitioners, and even dentists. Herbs are used throughout the medical field. All you have to do is talk to your physician. So I get to hear a lot of the miracle stories, see side notes from the physicians on herbs, new advances in medicine. Slowly over the years, I began to grow and incorporate herbs into our daily diet. Then in 2010, my husband and I were sideswiped on a motorcycle going 60 miles per hour by a deer and became one of those miracle stories ourselves. Herbs are absolutely wonderful. You can experience herbs with most of your senses: touch, smell, taste, sight. Most herbs grow well in containers, or you can simply plant them in the ground. Some plants you don't want to, like peppermint, you'll always want to contain it. But when you're selecting your container, think the bigger pot. It gives you more flexibility. Small pots dry out really quick, sometimes within an hour, and here in the Alabama heat. In general, annual herbs should be harvested mid-morning after the dew dries, and you can harvest up to 75% of the plant at one time. Just make sure to leave several sets of leaves at the base of the plant. And you can harvest the entire plant just before the first frost. Foliage on perennial plants can be harvested all season long. But you never want to take too much at one time, or you could damage your perennial. Late summer is the best time for a large harvest, and the time of the year that I make most of my tinctures, salves, and other tonics. When harvesting perennials, you should stop harvesting around mid-September or a month or so before the first frost. This gives the plant time to harden and recuperate after the last harvest before the first frost. Methods of storing herbs include air drying. To air dry, cut the plants, remove all the damaged leaves, and remove 1 to 2 inches of leaf around the base of the stem. Shake off the bugs. Now, you'll only wash your herbs if the leaves are actually dirty. Once you've washed them, you'll have to pat dry before you bind them together. But simply use a rubber band or a string and to tie them, and then you can just hang them upside down to dry. But make sure you hang the plant out of the sunlight in a well-ventilated place. Now you'll want to store the leaves whole once they're dry. You can pull them off the stem and place them in an airtight container. Now you'll crush them when you actually go to use them. This saves most of the original flavor. Now you'll store this container in a cool, dry place, and make sure you label the herbs with the name of the herb and the date. Herbs are best used within the first year. Now you can also use a dehydrator to dry your herbs. Make sure you use the lowest setting, and remember, slower is better. The leaves should actually crumble when they're completely dry, and then you remove them and store them in an airtight container. Now you can also freeze herbs. There's multiple ways to freeze them. You can lay the leaves individually on a cookie sheet and then place it in the freezer. Once they're frozen, you'll take the leaves off the cookie sheet, put in a freezer Ziploc bag, and put back in the freezer. Others, you can chop them up and place them in ice cube trays. Try to put about 1 teaspoon or a tablespoon in each cup so that you have a pre-measured amount when you go to utilize it. Then you're going to fill it with distilled water and freeze. Now some herbs prefer to be chopped, and instead of using distilled water, you'll actually use olive oil or avocado oil or something of that nature and fill the ice cube trays where it covers the herbs and then freeze them. Once the ice cube trays are frozen, you can dump them out and put them in a Ziploc bag. Make sure you write the name, the type of oil, and the date, and put them back in the freezer. Now, you can also use tinctures. Various types of mediums include water, alcohol, oil, or glycerin. Making tinctures with the herbs is the best long-term storage option for herbs. They'll last forever. Plus, it's also great to take as medicine because it's easier to get people to take medicine that is already pre-prepared. If they have to make a tea or go through some other type of procedure, they won't take the meds very long before abandoning the task. I have another presentation where we talk just about tinctures and which medium is best for each type of herb. So before we get started, one last warning. Do not take anything you are not 100% sure what it is. People die every year from misidentified plants. You also need to be aware of any potential complications of herbs that may have. Make sure you know what the side effects are and talk to your physician before getting started with any new regimen. So let's get started. Oregano. Oregano is commonly used in the kitchen in Italian, Greek, and Spanish dishes. It's a perennial. Oregano is easy to grow and doesn't require a lot of maintenance. All it needs is a little water, 6 to 8 hours of sun a day, and well-drained soil. Oregano can be grown inside or out. You can take a few cuttings from your oregano plant and place it in a well-drained pot in a sunny window, and you can have fresh oregano year-round. When you harvest your oregano, wait until it reaches 4 to 5 inches before you start to cut it. Then you can start cutting the leaves. Oregano leaves have the strongest flavor just before the plant flowers. Oregano contains 42 types of antioxidants to help fight infections. It has tons of vitamins and minerals. It can help you relax your nerves, helps with depression, sleep. It's also a diuretic and antifungal, helps with bronchial asthma, and relieves pain in the stomach. Now, you don't want to take oregano if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, or anyone with damaged or sensitive skin. And never give it to children under the age of 2 in municipal quantities. Next, we have thyme. Thyme is used with eggs, meat, vegetables, stews. It's also a perennial. And you can start the plant indoors about 6 to 8 weeks before the last frost. Thyme loves the sun and isn't very picky when it comes to the soil, as long as it's well drained. The best time to harvest is midsummer, but you can take leaves at any time, but only cut your thyme during warm weather. The flavor of thyme is strongest just before it blooms. You can use thyme fresh, dried, frozen. Now the medicinal part of thyme is the leaves and not the woody stems. Thyme contains all the antioxidant, antibiotics, antifungal, antiseptic, paraseptic, antiviral. Thyme helps stop you from coughing. It helps with whooping cough as well. It increases your immune system. It's loaded with vitamins A, C, and contains a lot of iron. It can help with your depression. Helps regulate your blood pressure. It can help you manage your cholesterol. It can fight a yeast infection in the mouth and the vagina. Thymonol oil from the plant can be used to disinfect your house from any type of fungal problems such as mold. It can be used as a pesticide for mice, rats, as well as bacteria. Thyme can also be used in shampoos and conditioners, as well as deodorants, and it's an antiseptic. Do not take thyme for long periods of time in municipal quantities. If you have a bleeding disorder, it may cause the blood to slow to clot, so you'll want to avoid municipal quantities of thyme. Rosemary. Oh, look at the rosemary. Rosemary is an annual in most regions. Rosemary can be grown inside or out. It can grow in a container or in the ground. The easiest way to start a new rosemary plant is to take a cutting from an existing rosemary plant. Then you'll dip it in root tongue to help it establish roots and place it directly into the soil. Make sure you do this 8 to 10 weeks before the last spring frost so that you can take your new potted rosemary inside and use fresh rosemary year-round. Rosemary prefers indirect light but will grow in partial shade. Rosemary requires well-drained soil with a pH about 6 to 7, but it should be watered often and never let the plant go completely dry. Rosemary can grow up to 4 foot by 4 foot wide and can be harvested year-round. You can harvest throughout spring and most of summer. You can cut 2 to 3 inches off the top. You can preserve rosemary or utilize it fresh. To preserve it, you can freeze it or dry it for future use. Health benefits of rosemary include: it helps to improve your memory by sniffing the rosemary several times a day. It's ideal to place a pot on your desk at work. You're there 9 hours a day as it is. And so you can just sniff the rosemary. Rosemary can also help with a toothache, digestion, liver function, coughs, circulation, and high blood pressure. It also helps with arthritis, as well as prevent mosquitoes from biting you. Plant rosemary in outdoor areas where mosquitoes are prone. Never take rosemary if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, if you have an allergy to aspirin, or some type of bleeding disorder. If you have seizures, including epilepsy, do not take rosemary in municipal quantities. If you ever see white on a rosemary plant, cut the entire area that it has white. This is mildew, and you'll need to dispose of it before it spreads to the entire plant. Next we have basil. Basil is an annual plant. Basil requires 6 to 8 hours of sun per day with a soil pH of 5.5 to 6.5. Basil must be well drained. You'll just sow the seed outside just before the last spring frost. Cut any types of flowers that's growing on your basil. This will extend the life of producing new leaves. Basil's strongest just before the flower starts to bloom, but you can pick the leaves at any time. This also encourages new growth to the plant. Collect all of your basil leaves before the first snowfall. To preserve, you can dry basil or freeze it by laying the leaves individually on a cookie sheet. Once they're frozen, place them into a Ziploc freezer bag. Write the name as well as the date that you picked them. Health benefits of basil includes reduces stress, helps prevent heart attacks, lowers your blood sugar. It contains antioxidants, which are also good for your heart. It contains an antibacterial, which helps protect you from staph infection. It contains anti-inflammatory, which helps with arthritis. It contains vitamins A, C, and K. It also contains copper, magnesium, calcium, as well as many other minerals. Basil also helps with your stomach ache. You can use basil leaves on insect and stings, placing an actual basil leaf directly on the sting. You can actually chew a basil leaf to help with pain, or you can place the leaf on the actual area that's hurting. Basil's also been known to replace the daily aspirin regimen, but you need to check with your physician first. Warnings for basil. Do not take if you have low blood pressure, a bleeding disorder, and never give to children in medicinal quantities. But you also want to show caution when taking basil if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. Next we have lavender. I love lavender. Lavender is also a perennial. There's a lot of sunlight. But it doesn't have to be an actual sunlight. It can be grown using artificial lighting such as a lamp. Lavender requires well-drained soil with a pH of 6.5 or greater. When you plant your lavender, a little tip, you want to pour 1/2 cup of lime juice in the hole before placing the plant in the hole. To assist with draining outside, if you have a soggy area, create a mound. Place a couple of rocks in the bottom of the mound. Place your plant on top. When harvesting lavender, you want to wait until all the buds are formed and 1 or 2 of the flowers that actually bloom. By cutting the entire stem, this keeps the plant active and healthy. Lavender, you can dry it, create a tincture, or extract the oils. Health benefits for lavender include it can help you relax, improves your blood circulation, helps alleviate pain, helps you breathe better. It can help with burns, psoriasis, rashes. It can even help you get a peaceful night's sleep. Warnings for lavender. Applying the product to the skin that contains lavender oil is unsafe or potentially for young boys who have not reached puberty. Disrupt the normal hormones in a young boy's body. Also, don't use lavender 2 weeks before a scheduled surgery, as it slows down your nervous system. Next, we have dill. I love pickles. Dill is a biennial. It prefers full sun, but will grow in light shaded areas. You need rich soil with pH of 5.5 to 6.5 that's well drained. Dill does not like to be transplanted, so if you start your plants indoors, use biodegradable cups so you can just place the entire cup into the ground so you don't disturb the roots. I have a really long growing season in Alabama, so I just generally rake the area that I plan to plant the dill, sprinkle a few seeds, and lightly cover it with loose dirt. I'll water them often in the beginning. When harvesting dill, it really depends on how you plan to use the dill plant itself. I make a lot of pickles, and so I grow dill mainly for the pickles. I grow the dill for the seeds in addition to just the plant. So I let my dill flower so that it can produce the seeds, and I collect the seeds. I cut the fresh dill as I need it throughout the entire summer. Every 2 weeks, I'll drop a few dill seeds on the ground, and that way I constantly have a new supply of dill throughout the entire summer. Now, dill can be utilized dried, frozen, and there's several health benefits. They include anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. It's rich in calcium, magnesium. It's rich in iron. Dill helps prevent diarrhea, bone loss, and helps with your breathing. It increases your blood circulation and helps with your digestive system overall. Do not take dill if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. Dill seeds can start your menstruation cycle, which might lead to a miscarriage if you're pregnant if you take it in medicinal quantities. Do not take dill if you have diabetes, as it can lower your blood sugar. Catnip. I love catnip. It's one of my favorite herbs. It's a perennial in zones 4 through 10. To grow the catnip is very easy. It loves the sun. Companion plants for catnip include cabbage, cucumber, lettuce, and carrots. To harvest your catnip, wait until most of the flowers have opened. And then you're going to clip it 3 to 4 inches from the base of the plant. To preserve the catnip, you can dry it, you can freeze it, or you can add it to a medium to create a tincture. Health benefits of catnip include it calms your nerves, it helps with sleep, insect repellent, colds, upper respiratory infection, including the swine flu. It helps with fevers, hives, worms, gastrointestinal issues, including indigestion, colic, cramping, and gas. Now, you do not want to smoke or take a high dose of catnip. Too many cups of catnip tea can cause a headache and or vomiting. To make catnip tea, pour 1 cup of boiling water over 1 teaspoon of dry herbs. Or you can use 2 teaspoons of fresh herbs. Chop the herbs before placing the water on top. Then cover it and steep it for 5 to 10 minutes. Then you're going to strain the tea and add honey to taste. To make an insect repellent, you can use catnip along with other types of herbs such as lemongrass, rosemary, tea tree. They're all wonderful. Lavender, mint especially, are great to add to your insect repellent along with the catnip. First, you'll boil 1 cup of water, add 3 to 4 tablespoons of dry herbs in total, and it can be in any combination. You'll mix it well, and then cover it and let it completely cool. The covering is important to keep the vital oils in the tea. Then you'll strain the herbs out, and make sure you just kind of squeeze them, get all the juices out, and mix with 1 cup of witch hazel, or you can use rubbing alcohol. Apply it to your skin as needed. Bees balm. Bees balm is a perennial. It's very similar to catnip and would grow in almost any type of well-drained soil. You want to harvest the bees balm when it's 5 to 10 inches tall. Make sure you leave 3 to 5 sets of leaves to ensure you don't damage your plant. To preserve bees balm, you can dry it, freeze it, make a tincture with it. Health benefits include antioxidants. It relieves the PMS and cramps. It's great for depression, anxiety, insomnia, or other types of sleep issues. Do not take if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. Do not take if you take blood thinners or if you're allergic to aspirin. Stop using topical salves made with bees balm if your skin turns red, feels warm, or kind of tingly, kind of stinging or burning sensation. If the problems persist, seek medical treatment. Aloe vera. Aloe vera is a perennial. It loves the full sun, but can adapt to artificial light and indirect sunlight, as well as partial shade. The best way to grow aloe is to collect the baby aloe that kind of spurts off into the pot and move it to its own new pot. Do not overwater your aloe. The plant requires deep watering, and allow the soil to dry a couple of inches before watering it again. You want to harvest the aloe as you need it. Use a clean knife and cut a single leaf as close to the trunk of the plant as possible. To preserve your aloe, you have a couple of options. One, after you've cut it, you can remove all of the gel and place in the refrigerator in an airtight container. It will last 3 to 4 days. Next, you can leave it in the actual leaf itself and wrap it tight in plastic wrap and store it in the refrigerator, and you'll get about 5, maybe 10 days. Third, you can remove the gel, add vitamin C and vitamin E oil, and mix it well and store it in a glass jar in the refrigerator for up to 6 months. Health benefits of aloe are numerous. The most common are helps burns, rashes on the skin. It can boost your immune system, provokes vitamin C, amino acids, which help build protein, enzymes, which promotes overall healthiness, helps with sunburns, pain, inflammation. It can help with minor wounds or burns, digestive issues, obesity, stomach ulcers. Aloe is also good for chronic constipation, lack of appetite. You can eat it or apply it to your skin. To consume, you can mix it with fruit juice and actually drink it that way to help with internal issues. For topical creams, you can actually apply it directly onto the skin. Warnings for aloe: do not use in medicinal quantities if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. Do not give internally to children under 12, but you can make it into a cream or put it on their outer skin is fine. Do not take aloe internally if you have diabetes, hemorrhoids, as it can make these issues worse. Peppermint. Peppermint is another perennial that spreads and grows like crazy. Most people prefer to grow peppermint in a container. Peppermint prefers a damp and shady location. You can start a piece of peppermint by taking a cutting, place it in water until the roots form, and you have a brand new peppermint plant. To harvest peppermint, you want to harvest it just before it starts to bloom, but you may see 1 or 2 flowers open. You can preserve peppermint by freezing, dry it, or turn it into a tincture. Health benefits of peppermint include abdominal pain, bloating, colds, coughs, heartburn, headaches, nausea, pain, respiratory issues. You can also make toothpaste or a pesticide with it. With peppermint, you need to make sure you understand the warnings when taking existing medications. Peppermint interacts with dozens of pharmaceutical medications, so make sure you check with your physician before internally ingesting peppermint. Make sure you check with your doctor. Do not use it if you're pregnant or trying to conceive. Mint is one of the few plants that we suggest that you don't plant directly into the ground because it's a perennial and it spreads like crazy. Next, we have sweet mint. It contains all the same health benefits and warnings of peppermint. It's also a perennial, likes moist soil, mostly sunny or full sun. You want to harvest it just before it starts to bloom for the strongest flavor. To preserve it, you can freeze it, dry it, or even turn it into a tincture. Now, who can say no to sweet mint? Health benefits include relieves gas, digestive, inflammation, as well as freshens your breath. Now, you can't beat that. Warnings for men. Do not mix mint of any type with medication. It can be very dangerous. Make sure you do not take if you're pregnant, and also make sure you ask your doctor before taking it in medicinal quantities. But it makes a wonderful tea. Next, we have sweet marjoram. Sweet marjoram is a perennial. It prefers the full sun and well-drained soil. You want to harvest it just before the flowers open, but you can pick leaves at any time. The flower and the leaves is what contains the medicinal properties, and this is the part that you want to actually preserve. Health benefits include, it's a diuretic, it's high in vitamin K, C, and A, as well as several minerals. It contains beta-carotene, helps with Alzheimer's, coughs, colds, runny nose, ear pain, cramps, liver problems, gallstones, and menopause symptoms. So ladies, you're over 45 or 50, this is for you. Now, you only want to take sweet marjoram for a short period of time. And do not use if you're pregnant, breastfeeding, and never give in medicinal quantities to children under 12, or take if you have low blood pressure or a bleeding disorder, diabetes, or any other type of bleeding disorder or ulcers. Yarrow is a perennial, loves the full sun, and is not very picky about the soil, but must be well drained. You want to harvest in early summer. You cut the stems 2 to 3 inches from the ground while it's in full bloom. You'll bind the stems together and hang it upside down to dry in a well-ventilated, out of the sun for about 2 weeks. The leaves and the flowers contain medicinal medicine, so you can dry it, make it into a tincture. Health benefits include, it helps you stop bleeding. It contains antibiotics, anti-inflammatory. It speeds up the healing process. Respiratory infections, a fever. It helps you relax. Cramps. You can even make a face wash or shampoo. You do not want to take this if you're pregnant or nursing. Next up is calendula. Calendula is a perennial and has an annual variety to it. Calendula likes full sun and well-drained soil. You want to harvest the calendula when the petals are dry, which is late in the morning or early in the evening before the dew falls. The flower petals are the medicinal part of the plant, so you're actually going to pluck them off from the flower head itself. Then place it in a paper bag and allow them to slowly dry. And you want to pluck the flower heads as soon as they open and place them in a paper bag to slowly dry. More flowers grow. Every 2 to 3 days you should see another flower, and just follow the same process. Health benefits of calendula includes, it makes things heal faster and is most renowned for this. But it's also an antibacterial, anti-inflammatory. It heals ulcers. It helps with dental infections, gastric ulcers. It helps with menstrual pains, acne, athlete's foot, digestion in general, as well as hemorrhoids, HIV. It's also good for a snake bite as well as a sprain. Now, you don't want to take calendula if you're pregnant or nursing. Next, we have sage. sage in zones 5 through 8, it will grow as a hardy perennial. You'll start your plants inside 6 to 10 weeks before the last spring frost. You're going to want to plant them outside in a sunny location with well-drained soil 1 to 2 weeks before the last spring frost. To harvest, pinch off leaves as you need throughout the growing season. You'll need to stop harvesting in early fall so the plant can harden off for the winter. To preserve sage, you can store it in the refrigerator for 2 to 7 days, or you can freeze it, or you can dry it. Either freeze the entire branch on a cookie sheet and then strip the leaves from the stem. Then you're going to place them in a freezer plastic Ziploc bag and put them back into the freezer. Or you can finely chop the sage leaves and put them in a ice cube tray and cover it with enough oil and then freeze the mixture. Once it's frozen, you can empty the little cubes into a Ziploc freezer bag, write the date and then what type of herb and oil you utilized, and put it back in the freezer. Now the oil you want to use is olive oil or avocado oil. It helps with all types of digestive problems, gas, diarrhea, heartburn, as well as asthma. Now don't take if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, and do not take by mouth for long periods of time. Do not take large quantities at one time either. Thanks again, this is Ann Prepper. You can find more articles and videos at annprepper.com. Make sure you click that subscribe button. Thanks again.